With the 11th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the New Orleans select Marshon Lattimore, defensive back, Ohio State.
Well, the player some consider to be the best cornerback in this draft goes to a team who is in dire need of defensive back help. Hometown of Cleveland, played in just 16 collegiate games. Lewis, you see the stat there. He missed 21 games because of hamstring issues. Lewis, take us through the highlight, what you see when Lattimore was able to be on the field.
Look, he's a tremendous, tremendous athlete, Trey. There's no doubt about it. He's smooth as water, the way he can move. His movement patterns are beautiful. He's a guy who's better the closer he is to the line of scrimmage and the sooner he can get his hands on wide receivers where he can just use that tremendous athletic ability. He has the speed to run with people here. He doesn't even get a hand on the wide receiver at the line of scrimmage. Really commits pass interference down the field as far as the NFL defensive rules are concerned. And then he has the catch-up speed to then go ahead, undercut wide receivers and finish. Here you see tremendous hip fluidity as far as being able to mirror that release off the line of scrimmage where, again, he doesn't get his hands on them, but he's just got tremendous fluidity. Here, he will show in flashes some physicality, although on the whole, it is not at the level that you want it to be. Here again, using a little bit of a motor technique, meaning backing off the line of scrimmage, trying to mirror the release, again getting to PBU. And then he has the deep speed down the field that if you try and take him up top on 9 routes on the outside, he can chase them down and he can finish. Question though is, those 21 plus games that he's missed with those hamstrings, they usually crop up again once you get to the NFL level. It only gets harder.
Well, listen, there were tears of those hamstrings. There were all kinds of things. John, what do you see when you watch tape of Marshon Lattimore?
Well, I love the talent, much like Myles Garrett, but he's not a finished product yet. I think he's got a long way to go, honestly, because he's so inexperienced and he's had these injuries. Measurables and analytics are great, but the bottom line is Lattimore has only started and played 1 year. You don't see him in the slot a lot. Got to get his hands on people better. Got to finish plays. Lattimore got to play better in the slot. And I've seen him struggle in press coverage at times. Practice will help him. And Dennis Allen, their defensive coordinator, is a great secondary coach. But I want to see him shed blockers, get off the block and make some tackles, be a force in the running game. I like the pick. I want to see more from Lattimore. I've heard how great he is. I love his athletic ability and his vertical jump. I'm concerned about the inexperience, the injuries.
With the 15th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Malik Hooker, defensive back, Ohio State.
Well, there it is, Malik Hooker, 2 defensive backs out of Ohio State, now off the board in the first round. Listen, he was a basketball player. At one point, he really wanted to play basketball for Pitt. He didn't get an offer, so he went to Ohio State, and they turned him in to a free-roaming safety. You see the numbers there, 7 interceptions, 3 returned for a touchdown, and he dedicated this 2016 season to 2 cousins who passed away, one who was shot and killed, another one was killed in a car accident. The ball skills for Malik Hooker are there, Lewis. He goes and gets it.
There's no doubt about it. And when we talk about the different ways that safeties are deployed in the NFL between single high and double high type of defensive schemes, this kid is the ultimate center fielder in single high defenses, meaning when he drives from off the hash to the middle of the field and is able to square up and read the quarterback and get a good jump. As you see here, he had him dead in his sights right from the beginning. He's got range to the bottom of the numbers to the sideline, and he can make those plays. You see him here. You can see him in the background. He had taken off from the snap. He had no question about where he thought the ball was going to go, and he will take some gambles with that. Here, another good chance where you see him again taking advantage of a college quarterback who's not going to look him off, and he's going to jump those type of routes. He's not going to be able to jump them like that in the NFL. He's got to play it more true, but he can make those kind of plays in the backfield. Tackling is what the issue is with him. You saw him make a good tackle there, a low type of tackle. Again, here you're going to see him again read the quarterback, step in front of the wide receiver, make the soft interception, and then he's got good run into the catch type of skills where he can turn interceptions into pick sixes. But he's going to have to address his tackling. No question, though, that he has some ball skills that they need. Coach? Shoot.
I think this is a need pick. They lost Mike Adams. They need a safety. I think this is a pick of need. He's had too many injuries for me, and he's missed too many tackles, and he's an inexperienced player. when you watch Hooker play against Clemson, you got to take better angles and make these open field tackles. There's just too many bad angles, too many missed tackles to be this high in the first round. That's my opinion. I know the Colts need a safety, but these are one-on-one tackles that you have to make at this level of football. Believe me, he's going to see a lot better backs than this coming out of the backfield. You got to break down and make these tackles. I'm a little shocked that Hooker went this early, personally.
You think only 2 years of high school football. He's a basketball player in Pittsburgh. You think about the injuries at Ohio State. Think about only having 1 year. Remember, Tyvis Powell and Von Bell were the safety, so he is a one-year wonder. He still has to work on becoming a true safety, a complete safety, not just that deep center fielder.
Are those things fixable? Coaching, real quickly. Can you coach that into them, those tackles?
Yeah, you can try, but you don't practice tackling anymore. It's a hard thing.
With the 24th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Garyon Conley, defensive back, Ohio State.
Well, there it is. Garyon Conley, the Ohio State cornerback, is going to the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, a lot of things have changed about Garyon Conley over the last few days. He was going to be here in Philadelphia as part of the celebration of the draft, but he was accused of raping a woman in a Cleveland hotel April 9th. He has not been arrested, nor have charges been filed against him. He came out Wednesday of this week with a very strong statement saying the allegations against him are completely false, and after the draft is over, he is saying he is willing to submit to a DNA sample and speak to police on Monday. That's something that's ahead of him, but right now he is the first-round draft pick of the Oakland Raiders. For more on this and what is really going on with Garyon Conley, let's go over to Adam Schefter. Adam.
Well, Trey, earlier this week, the Ravens administered a lie detector test to Garyon Conley. He passed that test for the Baltimore Ravens, but the Oakland Raiders were one of at least 24 teams to reach out and speak to Garyon Conley. And what he said to the Raiders clearly impressed them enough to where the Raiders are rolling the dice on a player that many teams were willing and wanted to take much earlier in the first round. He would have gone somewhere in the 10 to 15 range had the events of April 9th not unfolded the way they did. This was a player who made a bad decision that night, and the legal system still is trying to figure out exactly what happened, despite the fact that Garyon Conley is proclaiming his innocence. He goes to the Oakland Raiders, and now the Raiders have added Marshawn Lynch and Garyon Conley, Trey.
All right, Adam, thanks very much. First of all, let's get your reactions. John, I want to start with you. There's no doubt about the ability of the player. And he has been steadfast in the statement that he released that he has video evidence and witnesses that will say what this woman said happened didn't happen. But there's still a huge risk involved here in taking him in the first round.
No doubt. And all I can say is I know Mark Davis, the owner of the team. I know Reggie McKenzie. And I know that they have done extensive research and homework. And I think they trust this kid. And they believe 100% that he is innocent, or they wouldn't have done this in the first round. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, all my research and all the people I talked to pre-draft said there was nothing in his background beforehand, before this draft, that would have led them to believe that he was any kind of risk in any way, shape, or form. So this is something that totally caught people off guard. Look, I know Reggie McKenzie as well. I know Joey Clinkscales, the director of player personnel out there. They wouldn't have made this pick if they weren't comfortable that everything was going to turn out the way it needed to, so they could take him here.
We're not saying that he didn't commit this. We're just saying this is what people have told you about his character when you've asked about them. We just want to make sure we're clear on that. As for the player, Mel, what do you see on the tape?
Remember when the Eagles were picking it, we said they needed a corner. I said Garyon Conley would have been in play here for the Philadelphia Eagles had there not been that issue. And they took Derek Barnett, the defensive end out of Tennessee. Garyon Conley was 18 on my big board. He's certainly a talented cornerback, 6 feet tall, 195 pounds. 4.44 speed, that 37 vertical, had a really good year in coverage for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Eli Apple moved on, 10th pick overall. In step Marshawn Lattimore. There's Conley really stepping up as well. 6 career interceptions. Cover skills are excellent. Gives up a little separation out of the break of the receiver, but bottom line is he was a decent tackler, not great. But I think Garyon Conley, on ability, is certainly, in my opinion, Marshawn Lattimore, the top corner. Marlon Humphrey was my second highest rated corner. And on ability, Garyon Conley was third highest rated corner, 18th overall on the big board.
By the way, with the drafting of Conley, Ohio State joins the 2002 Miami Hurricanes as the only schools in the common draft era to have 3 members of their defensive backfield taken in the...
With the 40th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Curtis Samuel, wide receiver, Ohio State.
There is a lot to get into with Curtis Samuel because before he went to Ohio State, he went to Erasmus Hall High School in Flatbush, New York, the second oldest high school in America. Look at the names that have gone there on the entertainment side and look on the sports side. By the way, Erasmus Hall High School was founded in 1789 by 2 of the founding fathers of America, who some 18 years after that was founded had a little dispute. A duel between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton. Curtis Samuel in the 2nd round. He's not throwing away his shot now. What do we think of him as a wide receiver?
Story time with Trey has begun. It's impressive. As a wide receiver, this is an interesting pick because remember, Carolina drafted with their first pick, Christian McCaffrey, who's a running back but also can play slot receiver. Curtis Samuel is kind of a slot receiver that also played some running back at Ohio State. This guy is quick, man. He can get off the line with that quickness. He can get vertical. His hands, it's a little bit of a body catcher, but he was mostly reliable, and he averaged 8 yards per carry there, so more versatility for this Carolina offense.
Yeah, I think what they're doing also here is they're sending Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess a little bit of a message.
No
here.
doubt.
Look, they're kind of changing their attack right now. They're having guys who are dual threats, guys who can run out of the backfield like Curtis Samuel can, although he's going to be a slot receiver, but he's a guy who can run the ball from the backfield just like Christian can. They're telling Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin, hey, get your act together. So make sure you're somebody we can count on, because right now, for Cam Newton, all we've got is Greg Olsen, so help us out here.
The only player in the country with 700 receiving yards, 700 rushing yards at 4.31 speed. I would like to see him in the return game. We didn't in the punt kickoff return game. We saw Christian McCaffrey do that very effectively. So with that 4.31 speed, maybe extend the boundaries, maybe make him a little bit more versatile at the pro level, get him involved a little bit on special teams and see how he can help you there, knowing he's going to need polish as a wide receiver in terms of route running.
And I tell you what, this guy showed up big when Ohio State needed him to. That Michigan game, he was that final drive where they scored the touchdown to win when Michigan, it looked like, had that game won. So Curtis Samuel, when the lights are bright, you know you've got a playmaker who's not afraid of going out there and making a big play.
Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Raekwon McMillan, Ohio State.
First of all, Larry Little with the mic drop right there. 17-0, baby, 44 and counting. And you want to talk about a player who just makes plays? It's Raekwon McMillan, the linebacker for Ohio State. 2 years in a row, leading tackler for the Buckeyes.
Team captain for the Buckeyes. He 41 career games, all 26 of the games the last couple of years he started in, and highly productive. You know, every time I watch tape, he's the guy finishing things up. He is a big, physical, run-stuffing, I think maybe a great tackler, I would define him as, and he kept getting better. He came in as this 5-star recruit, everyone putting pressure on him early, and then he started to deliver his sophomore year, and this past year I thought he had his best season. Now, there's some coverage limitations, Mel, but you are getting a tough guy in the middle of your defense.
That's the thing. You know, can he be an every down player with those coverage issues? He's not a guy who's going to get after the quarterback, get a big play, get after the quarterback against Michigan. That was a bad hit during the course of his career than the games I saw on tape. So is he a little too one-dimensional for today's NFL where they're throwing it all over the yard? This would have been a great pick, I think, back in 1985, 95 now. You got to wonder if he can play every down, if he's on the field to be an asset on that defense, Lou, in today's NFL.
Minnesota is now going to the podium.
To announce the Minnesota Vikings selection, please welcome from the University of Maryland, free safety, Madieu Williams.
With the 70th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Pat Elflein, center, Ohio State University.
All right, so our second center has come off the board. Pat Elflein, who's anchored that position for the Buckeyes on a very successful team. What do we think about Elflein?
I like the kid. Smart kid, strong, veteran player, 3-year starter. And I'll tell you what, they asked him to do, Todd. You watched the Buckeyes the last couple of years more than anybody. They asked this kid at times playing center to pull out like a left tackle and make the play and be able to block that defensive end coming off the edge and get it done and allow that play to have success. And he was able to do it. I think he wore a lot of hats on that line in terms of he asked do a lot of things that normal centers don't do, and he handled it very well. Pat Elflein, I thought, was a little better than Ethan Posick, who went earlier. I think he can anchor a line in the NFL for a long time. He loves the game, he's smart, and he's versatile. I think that's a heck of a pick for the Minnesota Vikings at pick 70.
Yeah, it's another good pick by Rick Spielman. You talk about a player who has 54 games under his belt. He's smart, he's tough. The coaches absolutely rave about his work ethic, his football IQ, and his leadership. I think Pat Elflein is a plug-and-play starter for day one for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, clearly they need help on the offensive line. It was horrible last season. He was the lowest rated recruit for the Buckeyes in 2012. None of that matters now. He's a third-round selection by the Vikings. He said, I never thought that barely making to Ohio State, I'd be in this position.
2017 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Noah Brown, wide receiver, Ohio State. Yeah! Yeah!
I mean, Cowboy fans are suffering.
E like Z.
I'm going to
X it up like
Z. I'm going to
Dez.
throw up the X. This is why Houston Texans fans can't stand Cowboy fans. Noah Brown came out early. But the good news is they've only got Ezekiel and Tyron Smith and Dak Prescott. It looks like they'll be at the top of the food chain
And
for
now
a
they
while.
got Noah Brown.
Yeah, you know, so Noah Brown he has a hard time getting open, but he's big. He can make contested catches. The question is, can he get open in the NFL? I mean, you can't just try to power your way into everything as an NFL wide receiver. He's not particularly fast. He doesn't have the separation quickness, but he does have size. He is a physical player. He plays to his size, and I think what he's going to have to figure out is, body positioning. He's got to really learn the crafty art of using his size to create window space for his quarterback.
At least he's experienced in making combat catches, because he's going to have a tough time creating separation. That is going to be the difference in whether he's able to make it or not. He is going to have to be consistent winning those 50-50 balls. Interesting for the Dallas Cowboys that they brought two receivers over in the draft, Switzer and Noah Brown. We'll see how it stacks out, because this is a team that